Gets open for three. Dagger!
Hello and welcome back to Well Beyond the Arc. No, you're not seeing things. We are coming at you 2 weeks in a row with Well Beyond the Arc, bringing you all things basketball. And man, do we have a show, a couple of unexpected things to talk about possibly. But before we get into any of that, David, how's your week going so far, bro?
Pretty good. It's pretty good. It started off, really crazy, and look, it's just been going crazy so far. But it's been good. It's a good type of crazy, so we love that.
Yeah, you gotta love a good type of crazy. It's better than a bad type of crazy, that's for sure. Before we get into the big, the meat and potatoes of today, because I know everyone that's tuning in probably wants to know what we're thinking about some big trades that took place. Before we get into that, we're going to start with good, bad, and ugly. But honestly, that might be sprinkled into our good, bad, and ugly. I know it's sprinkled into mine at least a little bit. Starting with good for the week, my good happened right before the big trade, and that was the Lakers win over the Knicks. That was a really good team win, and the team looked really, really good altogether. And LeBron had a really good week. Obviously, they only played 2 games, but that Washington game, he showed out, and then he showed out against the Knicks. So that win over the Knicks was a big team win. And some key players that, yes, will be suiting up for the purple and gold had really good games. So for me, that was a really big good. And then everything broke loose after that. But that's my good for the week. What's your good for the week?
My good was that I doubted you. My good was that I actually doubted you in that win. If you remember, if you watched,
I think you might be muted, possibly. There we go.
oh, okay. Well, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but I said
Having a few technical difficulties right now, but last time it was on my end and the whole thing just crashed. So this is not as bad as that, obviously. Um, but no, as he's getting that figured out, Lakers obviously. Oh, we're back. Okay, continue.
okay. Yeah. So I doubted you, and that was bad. But I'm happy I doubted you because obviously it's the garden, the mecca of basketball, and LeBron showed up. I don't know why I didn't take that into consideration. So I'm happy that it's one of those days that I doubted you and it played out so well. So that has to be my good. As you
There's
said,
been days that have not
drop
played out like that.
33 through. That's fair. 33 through triple double. No one
Man,
above 40 has dropped multiple triple doubles. So we have to shout that out. We have to shout that out. So kudos
shout
to
out, Braun.
credit to you. Shout out to you also.
Hey, you know what? I gotta
Opt,
win some
what do you
sometimes.
was it? Optimistic prediction.
I've made some picks that have gone absolutely the other way. So I don't blame you for not going with me last week. Moving on to bad. My bad. We're gonna move away. I'm gonna go back to the Lakers and the Mavs in a sec. Well, we haven't been talking Mavs, but they're involved. But I'm gonna move away from that. I'm gonna go to the East for my bad. And I'm gonna talk about the Bucks getting blown out by it's the Thunder. The Thunder are a step above all teams right now, I would say as a whole. But the Bucks were missing 4 starters in that game. When you look at who suited up for the Bucks, I was like, who are these players? I could not tell you a couple of it. Like did not recognize a couple of the Bucks players that were suiting up for them that night, and that is a really really bad sign. And so, I mean, we're like Dame was out, Giannis was out, Middleton was out, Brooks was out, and a player like Portis was out. So you're talking about 5 key players. And so for me, that's a bad this part of the season if you're having that type of injury problem, that's not a good sign. So that's my bad. Um, Obviously, they have time to figure it out, and I think their form of figuring out will be possibly making some trades before the deadline is up. We're going to get to that later. But what is your bad for this week? Is it sitting in the West still, or are you moving to the East for bad?
I'm trying to actually right now decide between two. I'm trying to decide between the Mavs being blown out on Sunday by the Cavs. What they scored 15 like the first quarter or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Or the fact that Jim Butler still hasn't been traded. I think I don't know which I'm leaning towards, but those are the kind of two I'm leaning towards. The fact that Jim Butler still hasn't been traded. and the fact that Mavs were blown out by Cavs. Obviously, I feel there's, I feel like there's a reason that happened, but I'm not going to, go into that. But
Since we're talking about Butler, what are your thoughts on this comment? Because obviously there was a rumor that he rejected either. I believe he rejected an offer from the Warriors, or
yeah,
there was some
he's been
rejection there.
rejected others.
So, what are your thoughts on Warriors trade options? Do you think there's any chance Butler can be redeemed, or do you think he's out for them? I've got a few opinions on players that they could maybe get, but I don't think Butler was going to be one of them.
I think if they're going to get players, they should go get either Zion or Brandon Ingram from the
Yep,
Pels. I don't know
agreed.
if how willing those guys are willing to trade for them, because we all know, but like he's known now, Butler wants to go to his Suns. I don't know
Hmm.
how that's meant to work, but he wants to go to his Suns now. So, I don't know how that's going to work, and we'll see. I mean, we still have about 2 days to the trade deadline. What was it Thursday? Um, yeah. So I would say they should either get, oh, even this guy from the Washington, the center, the big from the Washington Command, is it was Valanciunas? Is that his name?
Valanciunas,
Or
yeah, he's
yeah, yeah.
man. I hope we get him though.
Or Lakers, anyways. But yeah. So I think either Ingram or Zion. I think Zion will be really good. I think Zion also needs a change of scenery too. But I don't know how willing the Pels are to trade um him. So we'll see. We'll see.
And I share that. That was actually we're talking trades later.
Or
I will
KD
say
too. I
before we
saw
move
the
on,
KD one too.
I did see this returning to the Warriors. What I will say is this: I don't think the Suns can win with how they're set up, and I do think that Booker, because I mean, dude just broke the all-time scoring record. Dude is that
I mean,
franchise
didn't
guy.
they didn't
So
they just lose to Blazers yesterday too
they did.
in
And
OT?
it reminds
Blazers.
me of when Booker scored 70 and they lost to the Celtics. Like that's the thing. They can have big games and still lose. So they need to get it done.
Lakers 2.0. Lakers 2.0.
KD to the Warriors, I don't think would work as well this time. I just don't see that
Yeah.
working as well as it did before. Could it happen? And would it be kind of cool to see? Just kind of fun to see, be kind of. But I don't see that happening. Brandon Ingram though, or Zion, especially Brandon Ingram. If they pull the trigger on Ingram, you're getting a guy that can shoot the ball deep, that can play pretty decent deep, and can match up with a lot of players. So I think that Ingram, if you're talking KD or Ingram, I take Ingram at this point. I'm going to be honest. If I'm the Warriors, I take Ingram at this point. I don't know. Tell us in the comments your thoughts on that. Moving on to our ugly for the week, I got to move over to the AD and the uh Luka trade. I'm forgetting his name. Luka trade. And it's not the trade itself, it's the Mavs front office. The way this was handled
Mm,
and some of the behind the
mm.
scenes stuff that seems to be coming out that is like directly fueled this trade doesn't look good for the future because you're looking at AD and Kyrie. And I know Kyrie does not like organizations that have turmoil. And my thinking is a star like AD isn't going to want that either. A star like AD wants to go for one more championship. So if there's a lot of front office and behind the scenes turmoil that continues and that shows, I don't think that's going to work out very well long term. So now that could be speculation. And honestly, even though it looks ugly now, it's business. Maybe it works out, maybe in the long term. But for me, the way this whole thing played out, and because Luka was Dallas's dude. Like Luka is different than LeBron is to the Lakers than AD. I mean, Luka was drafted to Mavs and brought them all the way to a championship. And it was on a couple MVP campaigns, at least a couple of times. So to just move on from him like that without him even being aware from what it seems like is not a good front office sign, especially for your other stars or future. So again, that could be speculation, but that's my ugly just because at least how it was initially handled was ugly. So that's my ugly for this week. What's your ugly for the week?
Yeah, I was actually going to lean on that too, but more on in a how I think the ugly part. I don't know if this is a good or bad ugly, but like it's more like a how were there no rumbles of this? Like, you hear how like Rob Palenka and Harry said, "Oh, this all started in a coffee shop." No one said nothing. This wasn't like no one. I mean, we've thrown around the thought of AD being trading AD and stuff like that, but we never thrown the thought of trading Luca. You know what I mean? Like trading Luca. That's like Bucks. I mean, Bucks have said they might trade Giannis. Like rumors have been there, but that's like OKC saying they would trade SGA, or like Denver saying they would trade um or not even them say it's just like out of the blue they just come up one evening they're
Hmm.
like, oh, we're trading Jokic for like two second round picks. Two second round picks. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I just the secrecy to all it was kind of like a mafia type of deal. They
It
met in a
was for
golf
real.
club. They met in a golf club and they were like, "Oh my god, would you take Luka Doncic? Luka, will I take Luka? Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Um it's one of those things. I don't know.
I mean, you couldn't have said it any better though. It really seemed like it just happened. It just happened. I think the dude, I mean, bro, I cannot tell you how many comments were like, I can't believe that what is his name? Mark Cuban would do this. Mark Cuban isn't involved like that anymore because if he was, there
Yeah.
is no way this would have happened. There is
Do you,
no
do you, do
way
you see his resurface post about if it was traded Luca or divorcing
his
my wife,
wife,
he
yeah,
finally my
yeah,
millions
it
off
did,
it.
yeah. So obviously, I mean, bro, obviously valued Luca pretty high up. So people forget that he gave up a good majority of his stock and his share of the team. And so he didn't have that decision. This new dude, Curry wouldn't do business with Nike because of this dude that took over. People don't remember that. This dude has a track record of players
Yeah,
being sketched, and
yeah.
especially star players. So it makes me, especially for a player like Kyrie, I'm like, bro is not going to want to stick around very long if that's because the whole reason he liked Dallas was because of the culture and like what he thought was going to be there for the rest of his career. And now it looks like it's kind of a flip. So
I
I'm
mean, there's
curious.
a
I haven't even seen Kyrie say anything. I'm not, he
there's a
probably has.
conspiracy there's a conspiracy theory out there. I'm sorry for cutting you off. There's a
No,
conspiracy
no, I
theory
want to hear it.
out there of like the Lakers planned this from the start. They were like, they sent. Remember when Kyrie was courtside watching LeBron and everyone was like, "Oh my days, Kyrie's coming to the Lakers." They were like, "No, no, 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 no. Go to the Mavs. Do this, do this, do this. Try and take control, infiltrate inside, so that the front office makes Luca available and then we snatch Luca up. Kind of something like that, but obviously conspiracy theory.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do want to give Palinka some credit because I have trashed him a lot for years, and I think this was one of the best moves he's made because we gave up so little. AD is not so little. AD is a
But
huge, I mean,
yeah,
championship, but when we're talking about long-term future, we didn't give up that much. We didn't give up. I mean, we got a
two
25-year-old
first
Luka.
round picks. Well,
Yeah,
rather not giving two first round picks. We only gave
yeah.
out one. One
We
for
and we didn't give up Connect. They wanted Dalton, and that would have been a hit because dude is kind of up and down this season. But when he's on, he's on, and I think he can develop into an Austin Reeves type of consistency because Austin Reeves was really off and on his first few seasons, and then he was consistent. So I think we're going to see that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Actually, we're going to continue to talk about the trades, and we're going to go through the big ones that have happened and kind of give them a letter grade, an F through an A. Starting with the AD one, we're going to talk about the Lakers side. Obviously, the Lakers did not just get Luca; they also got Markieff Morris and was it Max Kelber, whatever his name
it's
is.
so weird because
Um,
those guys. Well, one is injured, and the other I don't think he's been playing.
Morris is playing. I believe Morris is actually suiting up against. He is suiting it. I did not see him on the injury
Now,
list.
would
If
he get?
he's
I mean, would he get the minutes though? That's because I can't remember
I
him getting the
think with
minutes in
AD gone,
Dallas.
he'll get some minutes because he did play a decently crucial part in the championship
What was he
from
four,
2020.
five,
He
three?
plays he's played the three at times, but he's the four. He'd be a four for us. And I mean, we got Christian Wood. We got a couple players out, so we definitely need that size. But what I will say is this: Luca, you get an offensive level that boosts us so much, whether we have LeBron or not. I do believe, obviously, I don't see LeBron leaving for the rest of the season. I actually think this could potentially extend LeBron's time with the Lakers a season or two, potentially to an extent. And so for me, I think it's going to just be two players that are combining for 50 plus a night. But also, LeBron isn't going to possibly need to do as much as he's been doing because he has been doing so much and it's been great. But we've seen players like a Kobe who did so much, and then the end of the season, the train fell off the tracks, and he had a career-ending injury. Had he not gone down in 2013, he would have won one or two more championships, at least one more, at least one more. It wouldn't have been just him; a team would have built around him. But I'm going to die on that hill because I do think that is true. I don't want LeBron's career to end because of an injury. I don't. So what I would like to see is some of the
I mean,
workload
Bruce
taken
spends
off.
20 mil on his body. I don't think that's happening though. Well,
Well,
anything obviously anything can happen, but but yeah.
I think so. Yeah, no, I think LeBron. I think LeBron is going to at least play one more season to two more seasons after this one with Luka, but it's also probably going to depend on how they play together. I think their game is going to mesh pretty well. Luka does not bring defense. LeBron's defense is obviously on a decline, and that is what this Lakers team needed was defense and size. And obviously, they gave up a 40 and 20 player in AD because his last game he scored 40 and 20. So obviously, you're giving that up, but you are getting some depth. Obviously, Max is out, and I think Max is out pretty much like he's out for a while. I don't think he's coming back for a while.
Yeah, I think
Morris is
Bron's
in.
out
I
there.
don't know how big of a impact he had. He had a pretty big impact in 2020, but that's literally like 5 years ago now. So we'll see what impact he has. And then Luka, I think Luka will have a big impact. I'm not going to say we're going to win a championship now. We're going to be whatever now, but I do think Luka has potential to win 1 to 3 championships as a Laker. I'm not going to say any of those will include LeBron. I think there's a chance one could include LeBron, but I don't think that'll be this season. I think they have to have an offseason to build up a little bit and build a team around. But who knows? They could go on a run, like a crazy run once Luka is back. That is also possible. But I am giving the Lakers side of this trade, I'm going to give it a B plus. I saw people ranking it an A plus and A. I'm not going to go up to that because we lost some defense. I almost want to go a B, but I am going to give it that plus because I do think we gained a little more depth. And I also think with Luka, we gained a lot. We gained a lot on the offensive side and possibly more out of LeBron longevity wise. So I'm giving it a B plus. What's your thought on the Lakers side of this trade?
Um, I mean, everyone has been saying it. It's all long. This is all long term. This is the okay. Now we're moving past LeBron, and we all know. I don't think AD was that caliber of superstar. He's a star, but he's not a superstar. That's we have to differentiate. That doesn't mean. And obviously he's old now. Well, we probably got give him like 4 more years, and that's it. But you're telling me, bearing whatever injuries, and hopefully all those rumors that come now about Luka not being fit and all are not true, and he stays healthy. We're talking about Luka for like, if all things being equal, we're talking about Kobe-esque type of thing for Luka. You know what I mean? Like him being with the Lakers for 10 plus years, 11 plus years, winning multiple championships. So this is all long term. So it's based on that. We love it. We love it. Like A plus 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 to that kingdom come. But when we look at the short term now, I think it's a solid B, solid B. Um, I think we lost defense in AD. Whether AD was out or not, I think we lost defense. I think Max Christie. Let's not even look at him offensively. Let's not even look at AD offensively too, because we all know that we could have survived, but defensively, we just lost a lot defensively short term. I think the team will have to do a lot more now defensively than they would have with AD, because AD just covers a lot. Guarding 1 through 5. The only person I can think of that can do that is LeBron, and LeBron is too old and would probably just do that for like a minute or so. You know, so in terms of and then Max Christie was another guy defensively. If you watched against the New York Knicks, how he held Bronson and did not let Bronson do nothing, that's what you had. He's a solid three and what they call that 3 and D guy, can
And
shoot the
yeah.
three when needed, but solid defender. So on that front, is a solid B because I think we lost defense. Um, it might end up upgrading to an A if we get good defenders in trade or for nothing but peanuts. But I do think for right now, maybe B. I think it's a solid B right now. So I guess that's kind of how we have to look at the trade. And then obviously if we look at it, I think it's a solid B plus if we could join both future wise and short term. I think it's a solid B plus. Grade from the Lakers. Again, like someone said, we robbed them. That was robbing, robbing. Two what? Max Christie and 1 first round pick and whatever it was, and AD for look robbing. That's
Well,
robbing in
okay,
broad daylight.
looking at the Mavs side, um, obviously they got Christie, they got 80, they got a first round pick from 2029. Um, so here's what I'll say. the Mavs did build up a little bit of defensive depth. They built up a little bit of depth
But they
overall.
were good defensively. Either ways, they were still
They
good
Yeah, they had
defensively.
defense. What they were not doing was winning games. Without Luca, they were 5-15. With the squad they had when he went down, they went 5-15. To me, that shows that this might not be a squad that is going to be able to get it done. Now, I heard Stephen A. Smith, and we all know that that's
Mm.
primetime TV, and that's to get a reaction. Said that they're going to be first. If you think anyone is taking OKC off, you're crazy because they are
I
a
do
step above, and I think will continue. I think that Mavs could build up to like maybe
second.
fourth, fifth, or sixth, possibly. They could get up
No,
to a
I
fifth or sixth. I
I
don't
think
think they get above that.
I'm looking at this Mavs team and I'm thinking they have AD. AD playing the four now. That's different. Remember when AD was playing the four in the championship team? That's different. And then you have Kyrie that now has control of the ball. I think Dallas, if they play their cards right, and this is why I'll give them an A plus in the short term, in what kind of like maybe next 5 years, while Kyrie playing the point guard with the ball in his hands, Dinwiddie playing the shooting guard, PJ at the three, Davis at the four, Gafford at the five. Sorry, Clay at the two. My bad, not even Dinwiddie. Clay at the two, right? That's spacing. That do you know the amount of space Clay will get? PJ Washington. That's spacing for Clay, and Davis is never playing the five. You know, so I think short term, I do agree. I don't agree with obviously the first. I think OKC are the best team in the West. You know, but I do think if they keep going, potentially this season they can actually make a run. I think that's how with Jason Kidd coaching this ball club, they can actually make a run. Um, Again, I think their window is 5 years. If they don't win anything in 5 years, then this is a bust. This deal is a bust, and we might have a conversation about that in the next 5 years. But yeah,
No, that's a good point. I'm also giving them a plus, but I'm going a couple below an A. I'm giving them a C plus, and I'm giving them that for a few reasons. One, I do like you made a good point. Kyrie doesn't have to share the ball now, and we could see a level of his game open up that we saw before that we didn't see in Dallas before, but we saw before in other teams. That could be huge, and that matched up with AD at the four could be scary. The thing that I'm concerned about, and it's not me wishing them ill or trying to give them any bad luck, but AD, whenever he has gone down with a small injury, he's had a lot of lingering injuries the rest of the season. And we've seen that, or he's had a major one. I am not confident AD can stay healthy. And if AD is out, if you take AD out of that mix, then the entire system collapses, which is the same way it was for the Lakers. It could they still win some games? Yes, but AD out of the mix, it kind of collapsed. And then when he was at the four and they could play their game, they won a championship. So the question that I have as a Lakers fan that has watched AD sometimes in street clothes, usually, honestly, the last, I think he played, what was it like?
he played 76. I was going to say I think 72 or 76 games last season.
Dude was so consistent, and he hasn't until this injury. He hadn't missed a game for so. I
Yeah,
mean,
he was on a
dude,
tear.
dude
Yeah,
was on a tear. Dude was on a tear, playing some of his best basketball. I still think he was robbed for Defensive Player of the Year last season. I could be on
that's
my.
true.
I think that
But
that was his
even
year to
yeah,
win it. I do because Wemby's winning it this year. If they take it from Wemby, that's robbing. That is robbing. Let's talk about robbing. That's taking the Defensive Player of the Year award from Wemby. Anyways, but um, the Mavs, I'm giving it a C plus because of my questions with the injury, and then I am not. I'm going to go back to my ugly because of some concerns with what's come out with front office. I don't even know if this team has a 5-year window if things are as negative as they seem. Again, it could just be in the moment they look like that. So I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna bump mine up to a B. I can't give it a plus. I'm gonna bump it up to a B because you honestly made some points that not that I can't say I didn't think about, but I didn't really want to take into consideration. But you do make some good points, and with that pairing of Kyrie and AD healthy, and with AD at the four, that could be legendary and something scary. So I'm gonna bump mine up to a B. Let's be a little positive here.
and I guess it's my question for you and my question for the media because I saw Bleacher Reports they gave the grade an F or a
Oh my
B
god,
or
bro,
whichever one they
insane.
gave. I know it was below a C. And I don't know why they did that because again we had to break it into two, and this is what if this is what all, ever since Saturday I've been watching a lot of this. This is what everyone has been saying, and I think this is why we have to look at the grade that way. Short term, short term in time. When I mean short term, I mean like 5 years. That's a solid A. I think that's a solid A plus deal. But then long term, and let's even forget. Maybe I don't. I'm basing it on A because I believe Anthony Davis, AD will be like literally healthy. I'm banking on it that what he did last season he will continue this season. I think he's learned and he knows what he needs to do to remain fit. But then if we now talk about, okay, once the window closes, what is Mavs' next plan? Wasn't Jokic meant to be their SGA, their LeBron when Cavs drafted him, their D Wade for the Heat, kind of that player that takes your franchise and keeps your franchise as a top market that teams want to come to, you know. So yeah, when you look at that, I think it's a solid D. I think Mavs are not thinking about the future; they are just like, let's win now, you know. So and then I guess if you get take the cumulative, that I think is a solid B. I think C, F, D. I think that's just a bit harsh, from the Mavs point of view. Because let's see what happens 5 years. Let's see what happens. Because like, but then to your point, if AD goes down, this Mavs team is basically the same they were like, you know, without Luca. So
Time will tell.
time will tell.
Utah, moving on to Utah. I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. They did invest in their future, but I'm gonna give them a C minus because they didn't really.
Brody,
They got Jalen plus.
Bro did not even know about the deal until 30 minutes after it was announced. He literally didn't know what he was saying yes to. It's one of those situations where like just say yes. Just say yes.
No,
He didn't know nothing.
and I'm glad it worked out like that because he would have said no. He would have
Yeah,
been the
but
dude to.
I think other teams, I think they had other plans according
Yeah,
to,
no, they did.
yeah.
This was cooking. It felt so sudden, but it was building up. Not like months and months, but definitely a few weeks time. Moving on, let's talk about the Spurs because the Spurs obviously I called it a little bit. I thought they were going to make. I thought, and the only reason I called it, I'm not going to say, oh, I called it. I called it because Fox came out and said, like, I didn't call anything. Fox verbally said that he wanted to go to the Spurs if he was leaving the Kings. And to me, it's like, okay, you've got Chris Paul, who probably is either going to retire after this season, or maybe they make the playoffs and he thinks, okay, let's run it back and go one or two more seasons. I don't think Chris Paul makes it past one or two more seasons after this one, if even. So investing in a guard that adds defense, that is fast, that is a really, really consistent player when he's healthy and stays pretty consistently healthy, adding that to your future makes a lot of sense. I think it makes, for me, I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy this season. I think they're going to make the play-in. I think they're going to be a play-in team. Maybe they are an exciting play-in team, and Wemby just has an insane game. And with the addition of Fox and a healthy Chris Paul, they do make it to the first round of the playoffs. But I think they'll be a first-round exit at best. But with Fox, I think long term, this is an investment in their future. I think a lot of these teams invested in their future, kind of minus the other than the Mavs, I would say. I'd say the Mavs are the team that kind of invested in their future the least, like long term, because I think Fox is 27, 28, and so you're getting a guard that. Imagine him and Wemby playing for 5, 6 seasons together and building a team around them. So I'm going to give this a B. I'm not going to give it a plus. I'm going to give it a solid B. Because Fox, and then you're also adding a Jordan as well. So you're adding a little more depth to your team, and obviously Fox is a high level, high caliber guard. So I'm gonna give the Spurs a B for this one. What are your thoughts on the Spurs for this trade?
I'm going to keep it simple also and just go all around and just say I think every team won this trade in this particular trade just because we all kind of knew it. I don't know why people call this a blockbuster like this. No, this was just a regular trade. Derek Fox is a star. He's not a superstar. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's a
no,
good player, but he's not that big. Zach Levine is okay. Like
his
and then
yeah.
who did the Bulls get? I don't know who the Bulls
For
got.
the Bulls, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna.
But
I don't know. I didn't even
but
add that to my notes because they just added. They added. Oh, they added a Spurs big. They added a couple. They added some role players and a little bit. They invested a little bit in their future, some picks, but not anything exciting.
Yeah,
They're
so
not.
I guess based on all,
They
I think
lost pretty heavily on
yeah,
this, I would
I guess
say.
if we look at that, yeah, but I still think they all benefited one way or the other. I think it's a
Yeah,
solid
no,
deal
I
for
do
all
agree.
three teams. I think the biggest winner is Zach Levine. I think Zach
Yeah,
Levine is the biggest winner of this trade. I think him leaving the Bulls, I think it was just time for him to go. He needs a change of scenery. Um,
agreed.
so that's kind of all I
Definitely.
have to say for this trade. I'm not really reading too deep into it. I think Fox and Wemby will be good, and I look forward to watching them. You know, they're getting more primetime TV time, so I'm
Definitely.
looking forward to watching them. Um,
That'll be exciting. They'll be a good pairing, I think. And
yeah,
defensively, they'll be a
exactly.
good
So and I'm
pairing.
looking defensively, exactly. One gets steals, the other gets blocks. You know, good maybe 20 watch. But and then for the Kings, I think they're getting momentum now. Obviously, with their horrendous start, they're getting momentum now. Um, I think Zach Lavine, we all know what he can bring to the table. He's a good defender on his day. He can shoot the ball really well. He's a good you know, he does everything well. So I think both all teams won, and that's kind of all I'm going to say on the trade because like we kind of saw
No,
the
that's
score. It's not
good.
like we didn't see, like we knew, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it didn't take me aback. I was just like, oh well,
Yeah, definitely not the Luca
we kind
AD
of
one
like
because that one, the Luca AD one was like physical free. I don't know how you felt, bro. I like when I saw the Luca
I
AD one, physical shock and like when I was just on Instagram, bro, and it came up on ESPN and there's like those fake ESPN accounts, and I can't tell you how many times I
yeah.
clicked on it and was like, this isn't and I couldn't. But this one, I mean, this one we saw Levine moving, we saw Fox moving, and but I want to shout out to the Kings because I think they secretly are on Laker level of winning grade wise because not only did they get Levine, they did get some trade or some future draft picks too. So you're investing in now and your future. And I think they're the team that kind of did that the most a little bit. I also think Levine and DeRozan were really when they're both healthy. When they were on the Bulls, they got to like fourth in the East when they were healthy during the one regular season that they were both on the court healthy. It was like DeRozan, it was Levine, and it was Lonzo, and they got the Bulls up to the most relevance they've had in a couple of years since probably since D Rose. So for me, the pairing of Levine and DeRozan is pretty smart. I think that duo can get it done. The key is going to be both of them staying healthy.
Stay
I think
healthy.
they can, but that's a big key. But I'm honestly going to give the Kings. I'm going to give them a B plus. I think that for me, everyone walked away with a good. I think everyone walked away with a B plus in this. Everyone won. I can't see except maybe the Jazz. Maybe they're the ones that but they're not even really. I don't really include them because they fully invested in their future. And again, they didn't even seem to know what was going on until it was done. So, but for me, I'm excited to see how this plays out. We'll talk about our thoughts. We already kind of talked about the Mavs and our thoughts and if they can improve for the rest of the season with this move, but we'll talk a little more about that in a little bit. But we're going to talk AD a little bit more. My question for you, I've seen this all over the internet, and I'm also curious because it is a really good question, I would say. There's so many different legends that have not gotten their jersey or their numbers retired across a lot of sports. In your opinion, does AD get his number retired by the Lakers at some point? It could be however long down the line. Do you think that happens, or is that unrealistic with just one championship in 5 years?
Well, no shade at Andre Iguodala, but he got his number retired, right? Or
There you
he's
go.
get his number retired. But that's just an aside. But is LeBron getting his number? I've seen this also. Is LeBron getting his number retired at LA? Do you think? Do you think? No, I'm actually posing this question to you. Do you think LeBron? Because I think that will answer your question. If you think LeBron will get his number retired, which I think across all three franchises, LeBron will have his number retired. Or you know, I do think yes. Then AD. Hmm.
I
Yes.
think,
Then I think
yeah,
AD too will have his number retired. Well. Hmm. Lakers though, they are a sketchy franchise. They're not like all these teams that just be retiring jerseys. So I think that's a tough one. Would I want his number retired in LA? Yes, because I think that's kind of where he made most of his case for, you know, best defensive player, top 10 player, all this kind of stuff. So I do think he to a degree he deserves it. But then, are we just retiring numbers for retiring numbers' sakes? Like, bro didn't really do much in terms of what win one championship. Like, look at all the numbers in the rafters. Like, what they did for their team was instrumental. Did AD do
Good
that?
point. That's that's where it gets tough because as a Lakers fan, there are a lot of players like you could make a case now. Robert Horry wasn't putting up the numbers or doing what AD was doing, but he won 3 championships for the Lakers and put up some like legendary shots that helped us win some games that helped us get championships. So Robert Horry, that's a player. There's some players that haven't gotten their numbers retired that have more championships, but it's not just about number of championships, it's the impact you had on the team. And you made a great he was his best on the Lakers when he was playing. The problem was we just didn't see it as
See,
much as we wanted to.
exactly,
But he was his best.
exactly.
If
He
Dude
was.
played all 5 years, he would have one MVP. I guarantee you, he would have one MVP and one defensive to 2 defensive player of the year awards. I'm gonna die on that hill too. I'm dying on 2 hills today. That's the second one. I'm gonna say it right now.
Let's even look at the Suns series. Remember the playoff series against the Suns? He
Yep.
didn't go down in that series. What passing? What definitely going? Wasn't that the season the
Run it
Suns
back.
went to the
Yeah, we
playoffs?
would have ran
They
it back.
went to the. It was that was the season that the Suns went to the conference finals or whatever. If
Hmm.
we, if AD was there, I'm telling you, we would have beaten them. AD missed
Yeah,
what 3 games in that series.
we would have. And then
But
LeBron was like, "I've got wide shoulders. I'm gonna carry it," and then we didn't do it.
yeah,
That's
so
that
I'm
time.
looking at AD's time in Lakers as a basketball fan, as a
Hmm.
Lakers fan. I think it'd be amazing as a fan, as a person who loves AD and wants AD and have come to know AD in terms of basketball. I think it'd be amazing to see his number retired by the Lakers. But then, as a basketball fan, I'm like, are we just retiring any number now? Like, we're just retiring numbers for the fun of it.
I
Like,
don't think you can
it's not.
retire LeBron without AD, though. I think that duo has to be retired together. Not like at the same time, but I mean, the one thing LeBron broke the all-time scoring record as a Laker, and that is something that is
Exactly
legendary.
the
But
moments, the moment. I think it's all
AD did
moments.
have moments too. He did his blocking numbers. If you look at the last few seasons, his blocks, he boosted himself up in all-time blocks very highly. So even though he was out a lot, it's kind of a what if. There's too many what ifs in the
Hmm.
NBA. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard. There's players that have had their numbers retired that haven't won a single championship, and it's all about their impact alone. Maybe they
On the
won an
team,
MVP, but
on
it's
the
all
team.
about
Yeah,
impact. And I
I
still
look at
think AD had enough of an impact to get his number retired. But time will tell. Um,
yeah, because I look at a guy like Vince Carter. I can't remember him winning a championship with
no,
Toronto
I mean
or
D Rose didn't win one.
exactly,
He just
but
had his number
is
retired. But
their
his
impact they left on the
exactly.
team? Do I think AD had that much impact on the Lakers? No, not really. So I can't
That's
really say. I can't be when even I look at again no shot at Andrew Iguodala. I look at what he did in the Warriors. Like, did he have as much impact as D Rose or I don't know, but again, I mean, it's ifs, buts, and maybes. If we're drinking all that, I think we'll be drunk by now. But
for
uh,
real. No, seriously. That is
yeah,
a good point. I like that one. That's a good one. I like it. And that's a good point. I'm with you. I think I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but I do think it could play out and it could play out sooner than later. I think it'll obviously be once AD is retired, but I don't see AD playing a lot. I mean, I think he'll have 4 to 6 more seasons healthy, but that's healthy. So, moving on, we already kind of touched on the Mavs. We're going to talk about the impact we think these trades could have on teams. We're really just going to talk about Mavs and Spurs and Kings. I mean, we already both said it. Stephen A. Smith came out and made the claim that he thinks they could jump to first. Here's what I will say. If they had Klay Thompson, the Klay Thompson from like 2015 to 18, that's not a far off claim. If you had an AD that could stay healthy, that would literally be the best team in the NBA. So I'm not that's not super far off to make a claim at some point, but like at this point where everything is at, this team does not jump up to first to me. I think the best this Mavs team finishes is fourth, fifth, or sixth by the end of the season. I think fourth is if AD is healthy, everyone stays healthy, they can go on a push but it's going to be so competitive. Everyone is separated by 2-3 games until you get up to 4-1. There's a little separation down, but until then, it's all 1 to 2 to 3. So it's going to be a battle the whole season to get there. But um, I do think that it will be a battle that the Mavs can win and can finish upwards of 4, 5, or 6. But if AD goes out and he misses time, or they just have a rough go, then I think they'll finish closer to 6, 7, or 8. But I do think this does give the Mavs potential to boost themselves up to a 4, 5, or 6. What are your thoughts, David? And yes, rip AD. That's true.
Uh,
Oh,
I'm not. I don't really know. This San Antonio, I think they'll. I don't know. Depend. I want to see what the Warriors do. I really want to see what the Warriors do. If they don't
yeah.
do anything, if they really don't do anything, then I think San Antonio will finish up with the Warriors. They'll finish in like a playing spot. Um, as for the Kings, they are not making nothing. The Kings is for next season. This is next season. Their season's already done.
Do you don't think they're
Um,
making the plan?
no, because let's think about it. Let's think about it right now. I don't understand this pulled up, so let me kind of put it up right now just to be sure I'm saying this. I'm not like talking out of my zone. Okay, so me well well okay, so let's say Minnesota. Okay, playing Minnesota, Dallas, San Antonio, and Phoenix. Okay, let's happen to say San Antonio makes the plane. Who is bumping out of that list? I think it's the Kings.
Yeah.
I look at team. I look at maybe Phoenix, but that's a different one. We'll talk about that's a different story. That's a story for another conversation. Okay, let's assume both Golden State and San Antonio makes it. Two teams have to bump out of the play based on this. And I think watching the Suns play, then watching the Kings also play, it could be just both of them. I don't know. I don't
No,
know. So I
I'm with
don't I
you.
don't see the Kings doing anything. Even what's this guy? Portland too can make it if they put it on the string of games. They are 2.5 games behind San Antonio, right? 5.5 games. Sorry, 5 games, 5.5 games, 4.5 games behind Golden State, 4.5 games behind Phoenix. Win 4 games in a row, you're basically up there. So I don't know. I do think the King season is done, to be honest. And who's the last team? Uh,
Spurs.
oh, and Spurs. Yeah, I think Spurs will make the play. I said let's see what the Warriors do. And if we're going around, I think the Lakers to remain. They don't Lakers make the playoffs and actually don't have to go through the play. So
Agreed. I'm with you. I think they definitely have that momentum, and I think Luca will be back before All-Star break. I think we'll have
Saturday,
Luca.
there's a potential of Saturday. Yeah.
There's a small potential that I will be trying to go to the Lakers Nuggets game in Denver. That's like February 22nd, and I'm really hoping by then he'll have played. When is the All-Star break?
All Star break is before that, so 14th
Oh,
to
bet. So he'll definitely be back by then.
let me see. Yeah, 14th to or 13th to no 14th to 16th, because the first game after the All Star break is on Wednesday when the Lakers play Charlotte. Wednesday the 19th.
I think there's a
Lakers play
small
Charlotte.
chance if we have enough momentum and if we pick up a couple of pieces that we won't see Luca play until after All-Star break. I think there's a small chance. It depends
Yeah,
on a couple of factors, but
because yeah, after the All Star break, Lakers play Charlotte, then Blazers,
we got Mavs
then
FC too.
then Denver. That's what you're talking about. Denver on Saturday.
Denver, and then isn't it Mavs right after?
Denver. I think yeah, I believe so.
I'm going to both.
Then Mavs
Um,
is on TNT 10 p.m. on
bro,
Tuesday.
that game's gonna be wild. Is it
That'll be
in
that'll
LA or
be
is it in Dallas?
to be that is in LA.
Dude, that's gonna be a game. We're gonna have to check back in on that one. I'm with you on Lakers, so I do think this is their year. They won't have to be in the play-in, and that's going to be a huge. I think that is a huge telling of what this trade meant. Going quickly back to that, I think us being out of the play-in, it's no diss on AD. It's not directly
I don't
his
even think
fault.
this is.
We're in
I
the
don't. I
play-in,
look. I
but
don't even think it's a trade, but I think it's like what JJ Redick has done with this team. I think he's been
it's a good
very
point too. That is
deliberate
a
with
really
this
good point
team.
as well.
Like shout out JJ Redick, and I
Yeah,
mean I knew
nah,
he would succeed, but like
his yeah no his coaching has made a big difference because I also don't think this. I know he had no idea about this, but I think him coming into the organization has changed their mindset, and that is
Uh-huh.
something that. So I yeah, that is actually, bro. That's you can't really give all. I mean, yeah, that's a really good point, and I think that was a huge driving factor in this, and just his coaching. Seeing what he's been able to do to Hachimura, to Reeves, I mean, seeing the offensive consistency, and then thinking about getting Luca with a coach like that. And that's, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yes, obviously Jason Kidd is a pretty similar type of coach with just being like having like a really good, but I think Reddick has that IQ and has that connection to the game that is special. And I think we've seen that. So shout out to Reddick. We got to give Reddick a shout out. Time will tell. Before we finish up our show, we got a few more things. Talking about trades that still need to be made or that we'd like to see made for teams. I'm going to go with Lakers. I'm going to keep it simple. We need a big man. There's rumors of of a trade for Miles Turner, but my concern with a trade for Miles Turner is we give up too much. Obviously, Miles
Mm-hmm.
Turner is not a superstar, but and not even an all-star, I would say, but
He's a good big man.
he's a
Yeah.
good big man, and that would boost us up quite a bit. But I'm worried we'd give up a Connect, we'd give up a Hachi, we'd give up maybe a
We could
Vanderbilt, which
we could give up those two guys we got from Dallas.
hey, you know what? You're onto something, bro. If Rob Palinka, if you're listening, if you can hear this, I think the fans have spoke. I like that, but no, could we possibly make a trade happen? Yes. Robert Williams III, again, I said it last week. Now without AD, a player that's pretty simple, like just a role player. I don't think we need a superstar. Obviously, a superstar big man helps, but I think just having some solid role playing centers that can get the boards, that can play good defense, and slow down a Joker, slow down a player like that. That's what we need. And then Valanciunas, you said it last week.
That's the one I want.
That's my one. That's my
I
one
don't know
because I
what
think we
Washington
can
is
get
willing to
him.
give up though. I don't know what
Yeah,
Washington wants because
that's.
like they're one of those teams that like they are terrible, but like
Mhm.
I did like try to stockpile. Like, do you
Yeah,
know what I
no,
mean? Like, I don't know
it's
what
a
they are
good
trying to do.
question. I that's who knows, bro. They have been the most like insane, not even roller coaster because they had that one season with Westbrook and Beal where they had like a playoff, and then since they've just been.
Like, I don't
And
know.
they have pieces. They have Kuzma. They have Poole. They've got good players, but they have no direction. So, man, who knows? At least we don't have the people from the Washington front office in our front office. We're doing a little bit better than that. Um, moving on, not moving on. Bucks. Sorry, Bucks. The Bucks need to make moves. Before this game against OKC, it was obvious, but I think this game against OKC made it more obvious. You mentioned something that I want you to go in about because I want to hear what you have to say about Jimmy Butler to the Suns. But I have two thoughts about players
Miami
that
will
are
not, Miami will not sell to a rival. To they won't give up no matter what cost. They
fair.
won't give up to a
That is
rival.
fair. That is actually a good one thing I did see as a possibility was Butler, but another thing I see as being a possibility because it's not a rival is Jeremy Grant to the Bucks. I think
Blazers.
Grant would provide an offensive boost that they don't already have.
Where
He's a
is he at? Blazers.
Portland. Yeah.
Portland. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I think he would provide a little bit that they need. Again, you got Portis, you've got Middleton, you have players that are
I
struggling
mean,
to stay
one day looking
consistent.
to shop Middleton out. Is on trade block, right? If I remember correctly.
I don't know.
I can't remember. I think they were looking to shop him out for a bit. So maybe they could. They could. I mean,
I think they are, but I don't know. Do you think what are your thoughts? Do you think the Bucks make any moves or do they keep who they have?
well, they did say they want to make moves, but I don't just. It's one of those things where the market is so tight. Like, I mean, obviously you can trade for anyone if you have the right pieces, but I don't know. I'm looking around the league and I'm just like, who are the Bucks willing to give up to be able to secure what they? I look, don't even know what they need to be honest. Like, I don't know what they need. So yeah.
So your thoughts on Butler though? You think that the Suns are a
Oh
possible
yeah. I saw something that they're trying to work everything out to get him. I think the Suns are interested. And Butler is, as I said, he's blocked like a few trades just for the Suns. So I don't know. Deadline Thursday. Let's see.
man, that would give the do you think that would give the Suns life?
No, they're terrible. I mean, they have KD Bill. They have KD Bill and Book, and they're still losing to the Blazers. They're terrible. I don't know what is up with that ball club, but they are terrible. Well, not
They
in
are
a bad way, but like they are just something's just not right there. I don't
they're
know what it
off.
is,
They're
but
not the
something's
team they
not
were a
right.
few
Yeah,
seasons ago.
exactly. So I don't know what it is. They're just not. Even with the amount of star power they have, they're just not it. So I don't think he'll change anything. I think it would just be too much stars in one ball club. Like that's Butler, Booker, KD, all who can play away from the ball, but then they do their damage with the ball on with them. So I don't know.
I think going back to Warriors, I think if they invest in Ingram,
Mm,
that will be a long that could be the spark that pushes them back to another run. I don't think it'd be this season, but I think that an Ingram and a Curry, I'd want to see that honestly. Even as a Lakers fan, I'd want to see Ingram and Curry team up. As a basketball fan, I think that'd be fun. So I I had that on my list, and I think that that's the one that makes the most sense. Um, I definitely think the Warriors need to make moves. And I think the Warriors will because looking around and seeing the Mavs, the Kings, the Spurs, seeing these teams make moves, I think will make the Warriors feel like they need to because they're right in that area right now. I think they're seventh or eighth, I believe. So they're right in the thick of those bottom tier teams, even though the records are all really close. I remember how it was to be back there. We were there last season, bro. We were like seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, just separated by a half freaking game the whole season. So I'm glad we're not there anymore. Time will tell. The deadline is on Thursday. Obviously, next episode, we might have some more trade news and trade conversation to talk to you guys about. Hopefully, some of it is Lakers. And hopefully we get a little more depth, but time will tell. Moving on, we got our final two topics. This next one's just kind of a little quick one. I just want to ask your opinion on something. Talking about the Suns, it happened last night. Devin Booker broke the all-time scoring record. Every team has their all-time best player. Do you think this makes him their all-time franchise player or no?
I think it's Charles Barkley. No one can even argue that. And
Okay.
then maybe Steve Nash, and then Charles and Devin Booker. But nah, if he wins a chip, if he wins a chip, I think
Hmm.
yeah. But before, for a while now, nah, I'm not even thinking too deep into it.
Fair. So for me, I've got Nash at one, and for the Soul, I mean two MVPs, and I think he had the most playoffs. The one thing he never had that Barkley and Booker had was a championship appearance. But I think Nash had the most playoff success and the most exciting moments in the playoff with some of those teams, with Stoudemire and with some of those guys. I think that was the Suns at their best. And then obviously robbing, because he did rob. I think he robbed maybe not both
Shaq,
MVPs, but one of those MVPs, if not
Shaq.
both. I don't know how dude walked away with them, but he still did. So I've got Nash one. I do have Booker at two because Booker has more franchise records. And again, this is like, is this really how we're going to separate it? For me, I am. Everyone looks at it different.
Do
He
you
has
think his
more
jersey will be
franchise
retired
records
by the
than
Suns?
Barkley. Say that again.
When he retires, let's say he retired today, do you
Mhm.
think his jersey will be retired by the Suns?
100%, especially because
No, we're
he
just
will.
retiring jerseys for fun. I see. We're just
So
retiring.
what
There's no
about
meaning behind. There's no reason behind jersey retirements no more.
But what about okay? So what if here? What about this? He gets another. He gets one more finals appearance. He gets one more
Are we
finals
giving out
appearance.
trophies for finals?
One more finals
If that's
appearance,
the case,
and he
let's
wins
retire
some
Lucas
type of
jersey.
award. He wins some type of award and continues to be an all-star. Then he has an MVP like Charles Barkley, more finals appearances than him, and his is in the Raptors. So it's a. I get what you're saying. It's a good question. I do think time will if he wins a chip, he's obviously the best because no one else has done that. The reason he's above Barkley for me is he has more franchise records and also he doesn't have an MVP. And that's why it's like for me it's like splitting hair and I couldn't pick it, but for me he barely inches him out because he's the franchise scorer at a couple of other records and he's but yeah, it's definitely not number 1 though. I'm with you that he's not number 1. Putting him at number 1 would be ridiculous, I think. But he could be number 1. So time will tell. You make a good point though. I mean, it's a good question, bro. Are we just retiring numbers? Because a lot of these teams that don't have championships, you do see that kind. You do see numbers just thrown up there to fill the rafters. So it's a good question, and we'll circle back to it. Talking trades, though, our final topic, our top of the hour 5, is the top 5 biggest trades in NBA history. And I'm not gonna lie, I remade my list a couple of times because at one point my list looked a little bit like I was just looking for a reaction. So I had to flip it around and make it legitimate. So I think my list is good, but we'll see. Starting off at number 5, we're talking Lakers and
Uh-huh.
Anthony Davis.
So I would. I actually don't have a list because I couldn't come up with. I wasn't willing to do the research because most of these trades were old. But I do have to start by your number 5. No way you put that as number 5. No way you put that as
Okay,
number
but you know
5.
what? I'll go through my list and we'll break it down. My number 5 is Anthony Davis trade. Lakers traded Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, a number 4 pick, first round.
That trade. That trade. Okay, okay. My bad. I thought you meant the AD
So
Luca
I
trade.
want to I want to preface this. The Luca AD one isn't on my list because we haven't seen anything of it yet. Even though it was a big
Okay,
trade,
okay,
I have
that's fair.
trades that were all like completed and we saw what happened. So I almost put them on the list and then that's one of the rewrites I made because I was like they haven't
Yeah.
even played yet. So yeah, no,
Okay.
I did not put that one on there because that yeah, no, that number 5 is the Lakers trading for AD.
Oh, okay, okay, that's
Um
fair. Yeah.
in 2019. Obviously it ended in one chip for the Lakers. Everyone above them has actually only one of these people one of these players has multiple chips out of this trade, but I'm giving number 5 to the Anthony Davis trade. Number 4, I'm going Toronto receiving Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and the Spurs receiving DeMar DeRozan, Jacob, and a top 20 protected 2019 first round pick. Obviously this ended in one championship. I still to this day wish Kawhi Leonard would have stayed with the Raptors for the
Mm-hmm.
NBA because I think that would have been so exciting for the NBA, and I think he would have won one more at least with them. I think they would have ran it back the next season.
Wasn't that the year he went to Toronto? Wasn't that the year LeBron moved to Lakers? That
It
was
was. It was the
that
first
was
year.
the reason why they even made it. Loki, that was the reason why they
Yeah.
made it. But anyways, one thing.
That's
That's a
actually that's actually true. That's so you know what question because do you think if LeBron doesn't leave um the East and Kawhi comes, who wins? Who goes to the finals? Cavs or Raptors? You think Cavs run it back with the same
Cavs would have,
exact
I mean, obviously Tyler also left, so that's I guess that's different.
with that same exact squad you think could take on the Raptors?
If everyone has stayed, well, I don't know when I mean everyone was I think Kyrie also left in 2018, right? Went to Boston
He
2018.
left the season before LeBron. I think
Oh
20 yeah, he left one season before Braun.
yeah, yeah. So I guess that's different. And then Kevin, I don't know. Okay, you know what? No, I don't know. It depends. I guess we'll have to see the team then. But if Tyloo had stayed, I'm
Yeah,
confident in LeBron and Tyloo. If Tyloo had stayed, then yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm
they
with
would
you
have,
on that. I
they would have
definitely
hundred
if
percent done well.
Tyloo had stayed and LeBron had stayed and that team had stayed together, it would have worked. It didn't work without LeBron and Ty Lue and the whole team, but with them it would have. So I'm with you. It would have been an exciting. I think it would have been a 7-game series, but I do think the Cavs would have came out on top again. My number 3 is when Miami received Shaquille O'Neal and the Lakers traded Lamar Odom, or excuse me, and Miami received. God, excuse me. Miami received Shaquille and the Lakers received Lamar Odom, Butler, Grant, and a 2006 first round pick and a 2007 second round pick. This this trade actually ended up being good for both teams because Lamar Odom was a really big part of those championship runs with Kobe, and Shaq won one more championship. So the reason this is on my list and as high up is because it did end in
A
championships for
championship
both
for
sides.
both
So
teams.
this is the only trade on here that ended like that,
I
honestly.
mean, I want to ask because I have two questions. First one is, I mean, we all know what happened with why that happened. Do you think if they didn't collide heads, Shaq and Kobe they didn't collide heads and they had won, do you think they would have won more championships? That's question one. Question two: how is Paul Gasol? The Lakers trade for Paul Gasol not on your list?
That's an honorable mention. That's an honorable mention for sure. Missed my list. I actually have a player that was in the same type of era and type of rivalry that is on my list that does not that bumped that one out. So that it's missing on mine actually. But honorable mention, shout out. That would have been a good pick. Um,
Okay.
um moving on, my next one is the trade for Kevin Garnett when Boston traded for Kevin
Oh,
Garnett.
that's a big
That's
one.
my number two, and that is the one that inched out the one that you brought up with Gasol. Now, of course, Gasol ended up in more championships, and you could argue maybe a little more success, but the like. What that did for basketball, that trade reignited the Lakers Boston
Rivalry.
rivalry. So for me, without that, I don't think we would have seen what we saw. So that was a huge trade, and that kind of set forward the basketball history and like set some history into motion. So for me, that is a big trade. And then my number one was and it's very similar. People are comparing it to this trade when the Lakers received Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Walt Wesley and traded Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Junior Bridgerman, and Dave Myers. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know
I
any of
don't.
those
I
people.
got no idea who those guys are, so that shows that it was a good trade. Um, Lakers won that one.
For the Lakers, obviously, for the
Yeah, for
Lakers.
the Lakers. Lakers won that
Showtime.
one.
That was when
Lakers. I mean,
Showtime
that
was created.
was the creation of Showtime right there. So that is my number one. If you guys have any lists you want to see us do, please let me know in the comments. Let us know what you guys want to see. That takes us to the end of another show. David, can we find you anywhere else on YouTube or anywhere else for podcasts?
Definitely listen to Minded Football fans if you know you're into soccer, or if you're a multi athlete like me that is into soccer and basketball. Always keep checking out Well Beyond the Arc because you'll see us here every Tuesday as long as the season lasts. And Minded Football Fans podcast, all things Premier League football. That is the top league football league in the world, or as you all here like to say soccer. That's the top soccer league in the world. So check us out on whatever platform you listen to. New episodes drop right after the match week every Tuesday morning. So check us out. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Check them out. They do a great job. I've tuned into a few shows and it's exciting stuff. So definitely tune in, especially if you're a fan of soccer. And then you can find me on this same exact channel for the College Football Junkies with my co-host Mark. We're currently taking a break, but we'll come back in a couple Saturdays.
I saw your college football, your picks. How do you like my Penn State? You all like my Penn State Nittany Lions?
Hey, I'm all for it, but man, I thought they were going to go a little further. I'm not
I,
going to
I
lie.
I thought so too, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, another day and maybe next season. Who knows? But, anyways, thank you guys so much as always. We will be back next week with more basketball. Who knows? Maybe some more breaking news too. In the meantime, have a great week and we'll see you guys next time.
Yes, sir.